4 years ago, there was not much AI utilization. Utilizing it properly is a huge opportunity to leverage what makes you different. But the big thing I think is the offer that attaches to it. Because again, it's always about the result. AI is a medium to the result. So the result's still what they're looking for.
So welcome to AIpreneurs Mastermind. We are the largest AI mastermind at the moment in US and Australia, as far as I'm aware. We have over 102 AI-driven businesses in here that some people like have the AI, like a software companies or like AI-driven businesses providing the AI services such as done for you AI, automations, copywriting, marketing. So that's what everyone does here. So anyone interested in joining our mastermind, please let us know. And we also have a guest speaker every week. We're bringing a 7, 8, or 9-figure entrepreneur every single week on Thursday, 1:30 p.m. To give a lot of value to our members. And usually what happens, guys, today was some of you not new. I can see some new members here that joined. Welcome to all the new members that joined in the last week or so. We usually, the guest speaker do an hour presentation and followed by Q&A. And also, if you guys have any question in the meantime, feel free to ask. Renato is more than happy to answer. Otherwise, we're going to have a Q&A at the end. All right, so I'm just going to introduce Renato and his bio. So Renato Fabri, he's the first generation of the Brazilian American self-made entrepreneur, investor and operator with a track record of turning $4,000 into a multi-million dollar business in only 3.9 years. By the age of 28, he scaled that business to over $10 million in cash revenue, a 45% margin, and successfully exited for the multi-seven-figure payday. Today, Renato runs the Fabri Holdings, an operator focused on the private equity platform that acquires and scales the small businesses, focusing on consulting for equity, recruitment placement, and also high cash flow operations for exit potentials. He's on a mission to build a billion-dollar portfolio while empowering others to reclaim the confidence in their mind, their skills, and their future. For building companies to invest in talent and system, Renato's edge is execution. That's really, really amazing, Renato. At the age of 28, a $10 million business, that's so amazing and impressive. We cannot wait to hear from you and your story about how you could achieve that. And obviously, like I know that you, when we spoke and we met, me and Renato, to give you guys a bit of background, we met in Florida. And we basically met through a mutual friend and we're sitting in the dinner table together, talking for a while, talking about AI and everything. And one thing that Renato, you might be able to pick up a couple of businesses from our mastermind too, because there's a lot of AI-driven businesses here that have a lot of
Mhm.
potential. And a lot of our members is also looking for exit. So we actually teach people about how to prepare a business for exit, like for example, creating the monthly recurring revenue, the annual revenue, creating the system to be able to have
Right.
that 10 to 20, 30, 40 multiples. So definitely a lot of amazing businesses exist in our mastermind that you might be able to pick a few. So we never know. Okay,
I
Steph
love
is back to yours.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you for the intro, for the connection. Pleasure to chat with the community. What I'm gonna walk you guys through is very similar. So by the age of 28, I was able to build a 10 mil business with obviously with this reward showcasing that and be able to sell it to private equity in as little as 3 years and 9 months from when I initially launched the actual company. So what I'll do is I'll actually share my screen. I built out some core principles, and I'll spend some time on the principles. I think let me know if you guys could see this. Can you guys see this?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So the big thing that I looked at is like there's really five scaling stages of growth, at least what I've noticed when I was building out my business here. So the very first kind of stage is kind of like your offer and your marketing fit. I'd say this is between from 0 to about 20K a month within your business. And at this capacity, you're really kind of just focusing on getting enough cold traffic coming through. So what does this mean? It's someone that does not, it's not a referral. It's not someone that knows, likes, and trusts you. It's literally just from ads or from outreach, and you're getting at least 10 cold prospects to go through the offer iteration so you can actually keep improving the hypothesis of the offer. Because you don't, at this point, you still don't necessarily know how good the offer is or the fulfillment or any of that. It's primarily focusing on just getting more consistent volume. If you're at like a low kind of budget on the ad spend, like anything below 3K a month, I would just recommend to do some type of content on social that's a problem solution oriented content, and then running some ads going with call to actions on it. So like something you guys might have seen where it's a comment like scale below. After you've done a solution oriented type of post, that will create warm outbound outreaches that you can do. So what does that mean? That means that when someone has now commented, you now can outreach to that person in the DMs. And now you can start the conversation in the DM stage for your business and for your trajectory of growth. And that would be like if you're below like that kind of 30, that 3K a month ad spend that you can do. I found that works really well. You get really low cost per lead. You get people to engage with your content. And in addition to that, you start pushing those people into sales calls. And that's how I scaled. I scaled the majority of my business through just sales calls, doing things like this. So if you have a little more of a test budget, I'd say 3K plus. I started with 4 grand, like I said. So I put 4 grand into ads and I went a little more into an ad centric where it was ads to an opt-in page, and then a VSL page, to then a call. And it was just straight cold people that I would end up talking to. And again, I was making iterations on the offer. I was making iterations on the product. And this is really the scientific method at the end of the day, which is you do a hypothesis, you experiment on the hypothesis, you look at the results, and then you do a conclusion. You just keep going back on those same 4 steps until you actually find a solid offer that is hitting into the market at the proper capacity. So that's stage one of the actual business. From there, we then move into stage two of the business, which is dialing in your optimal selling system. This is where I call like your conveyor belt. So now that we have an offer that we're selling to a specific person in a specific way with the same kind of problem-ish, we now can start developing a specific pathway to start getting consistent leads coming in. So now that we have a little more ad spend budget, we can start spending more money on ads, start generating more sales, and keep improving that sales process. My sales process that worked really well for me was a consultative approach sales process. So that means I'm asking questions on the rapport, the discovery. Then I am building out the vision, then creating the pitch, the tie down, and then handling concerns, all within the phone call. So that process, you start really, if you have a specific problem with a specific person, specific way, and you've dialed that in with your offer and your fulfillment, it now becomes not easy, but easier to replace yourself on the sales side. Because at this point, when I was at about between 10K to 80K. I hit all the way about 112K-ish per month before I was able to pull myself out of sales a little bit and put another closer in to start taking calls on my behalf. So at that kind of capacity, if you have a script dialed in, you're communicating the exact same problem to the exact same person in the exact same way, it becomes easier to offload that to a new person because you're not having to have them off the cuff do sales. There's a recorded calls, there's a script, there's a process. So that becomes dialing in your sales system. And the core thing here, if you're below 80K a month, which is the million run rate, your only thing you should be focusing on is generating new calls, like generating new people to talk to, and then actually doing more phone calls, just talking to prospects. That is the number, like I see so many people focusing on making their website prettier, focusing on client success, getting on like adding more software into their business, and they're under $1 million business. So up until that point, it's getting really, really, really good at the actual sale process of getting people to actually pay for your service and pay for what you're able to offer to create value for them. That's stage two. Then we move into a stage three, which is productizing the service. Now, for me, you guys have already, I would assume, a little more productized service than I did because I was doing consulting and marketing for beauty business owners. So I would step in, I would run their ads with my team, train them on their sales, help them with their hiring, and then in addition to that, help them with becoming better entrepreneurs with their finances and things like that. But I had to productize that. So that means I had to delegate my team because I was doing the fulfillment up to this point as well with my team. My team was still kind of getting better. So I had to delegate the onboarding process. There's a process where after someone buys, there's this little window where they're really happy that they bought or they regret that they bought. So you want to be able to build that connection really quickly. I call that your onboarding. So immediately when someone buys, usually within about a 6 to 12 hour window, you want to have like exact next steps, ideally with a next phone call on Zoom where you're chatting with them or someone from your team where they know what the next steps are and what's going on that onboard process. So that way, one, they're happy they made a good decision and that they also know what the next steps are. But when you're pushing a lot of clients through your business, it becomes very difficult for you to do all those onboards. So especially at this level where you're now at a million run rate plus, you need team. You need people there. So we're delegating the onboarding process and we're also the delivery process. I was doing one-on-one with the team, with our clients. So I actually brought in CSMs, client success managers, into the business where I was doing one-on-one. The hired staff that I had were doing one-on-ones with the team, the clients, and giving them direction on what they're supposed to be doing to actually help that business grow. So it was tailored. So the fulfillment side of it was a little bit custom, but we were now able to build a client journey because we had a niche that we were marketing to as beauty business owners. We had a specific problem that we could solve in a specific way, and it was a relatively similar buyer. So we can now build out, it was the client journey, which is from step one all the way to step Z on what the result that we're trying to create for this client. Because what's super important, and I realized at this stage, and I wish I had realized it earlier, was that you want to build lifetime value with your clients. You want to build clients that stay with you, that wants to be a part of your community and what you're about. And so this is when I realized that. So I was now also trying to build out a little bit more in terms of my back end. So up to this point, I was just selling like a 3K product for 6 weeks, give or take. Then later, I started making transformational because again, we're productizing the service where as we get enough people going through the product, we start realizing what clients want, what do they enjoy, what's good for them, and how can you make it so it's more valuable for them even if they pay more for it. So now, at that level, we now then switched it from a 6 week kind of product to a 90-day transformation, up to the price. And then we also started selling, which was our backend, which was 30K a year annual contracts, which actually made it a very pretty business for evaluation and for exit later. I found out about that. But at the time, I just wanted to keep clients. So then that became a 30K backend retainer that we would sell to clients. So because I found out what the client journey looked like, all right, we can look at it here. Because I actually understood what the journey looked like, I was able to increase the LTV and build more upsells. Now, the common pitfalls at this level, when you're at a million and you're trying to get up to about 250K per month, is just poor management skills and lack of training of the team. So, because naturally at this point, you've been kind of the person that's like forcing the growth of the business, you start now bringing people on And having a really good recruiting process, having a really good standard and expectation and onboard process is the next kind of issue that you need to start fixing. And that just becomes having better hiring frames and better data on how to track the results that you're generating for your clients um, on that component. So, but that's how you start eventually slowly moving yourself out of the fulfillment process and and building systems where you can now start focusing on like stage 3.5, which is removing yourself from sales. So during this time, you are still doing calls, and you're also doing fulfillment with your team. So during this, they're both at the same exact point where if you're a little bit better on the sales front, you're probably going to stay at sales longer and you're going to start trying to outsource the fulfillment a little bit more. And if you're a little bit better at fulfillment, then you're going to want to outsource the sales a little bit sooner. This is going to be based on yourself. But both of these stages are the exact same process. Just one is you're removing yourself from the fulfillment and you're obviously coaching your team through it, but the team is now kind of handling the clients, handling the fulfillment, handling what the delivery looks like. And then on the sales front, you're now removing yourself. So this is where you bring on closers. You also have setters at this point, most likely, where we have an internal ramp up process. We also have an internal sales process that we built up, quality control system as well. So that means we're reviewing calls, giving feedback, but you're not fully removed. In both of these stages, you're not 100% fully removed until you believe in the team that you're removing yourself from. So for me, I was still taking calls until I was at about 200,000 a month. So I was still taking calls, still taking like three, four calls a month, a day, while still having a full force, two other closers taking calls 5 to 6 times a day, each of them as well. So again, you need to have enough volume to be able to start hiring people on the front end for sales. But specifically, you want to remove yourself slowly from both of these systems because you are naturally usually the glue that pushes things forward. But during that process, one of my biggest bottlenecks was management. I uh, wasn't necessarily the best, like it's a skill being a manager, and I'll move into becoming a master manager in a second, but it is a skill to be able to lead people and to guide, and you want to have that infrastructure because that's what makes it an exit worthy business is having people and having infrastructure that someone can buy into and remove you as the key man risk for them to move forward with the continuation of the business. But that becomes a skill that you need to either find managers or develop managers within the business. And but that became one of the key things with removing sales was finding, hiring, and training internal salespeople, developing that sales process. So at this point, I had the scripts, I had the call recordings, I had everything that I can now offload that into new people. However, the quality control process of that is I need to now review how the team is doing the calls to give them feedback and give them proper leadership, plus do performance management. And the common pitfalls I had was just poor management because I didn't actually have that skill. Jumping the gun a little too soon, where I wanted to remove myself a little. For me, I didn't have that issue, but I do see this coming up where maybe people don't really like sales a ton, so they're trying to get out of sales really quick. You definitely want to make sure that sales is still rolling and you're the leader before you pull out too quick, and insufficient lead flow. So if you're not getting enough calls onto the calendar, you can't like start hiring too many people to take calls if you don't have enough volume there. Um, but the biggest thing here is to actually build a sales team with an A talent culture and standard. So the higher standard you have as the leader, the higher standard your team will have as well. And that became like stage 3.5. Now, to get ourselves to stage 4, which is from that 200K mark to about 400 plus K a month, this is where you just simply become a master manager. At this point, this is where you're just developing 99% of your time is just people. Like this is what I was doing all day, every day. I was doing development of people. I was playing the game through my team. So there would be now a setter team, a closing team, a client success team, a client marketing team. And these are all departments that were managing either corporate ads, client ads, were qualifying leads on the setting side or closing leads on the closing side. And now I'm not doing any work other than reviewing if the team is doing what they're supposed to be doing. So that's 100% quality control and developing the team. And that's where we develop EQ, emotional intelligence, and problem-solving skills for your team. Okay. Um, Key things here, powerful team meetings. So I would do daily team meetings on sales and daily team meetings on client success, and then 3 times a week with client marketing, Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays as well. So then very strong presence on the meetings. My recommendation, if you ever jump into meetings and you start being in that leadership position, spend 15 minutes before minimum, knowing what you're going to talk about, prepare for what you're going to say, because that standard, that cadence where you come into a meeting has a lot of presence for your team, and naturally that standard stays really high. So in addition, you have an agenda. So for us, we would go through wins, announcements, then we go through KPIs and metrics, and then we go into training. So there was always a frame of what we would be going through, and the wins would be wins specific to client wins that we would be generating for clients, or specific wins that individual wins, maybe a closer closed like 3 people in a day and things like that. Here is a lot of quality control. So the quality control that you're doing is you're reviewing end of day reports from the team specifically. So there will be end of day reports, and if you haven't set that up, then you start setting that up earlier, but definitely start doing it. So at end of every single day, there's a report that's sent out for the sales team, how many people they spoke to, how many people showed, and what happened to each person's on the call. On the setter, how many people did they outreach through the leads that came in? How many of them were qualified, if they were not qualified, and how many sets they got on the calendar? Client success, how many new onboards they got, how many fulfillment people or clients that they're managing today, and how did each of those interactions go? Client marketing, if you're running ads for people, how many accounts did they optimize today? How many of them are they actively managing? What's within KPIs? What's not with what's outside of KPIs? And you have a certain standard of what is KPIs within your client's wheelhouse, which would be lead, cost per lead, or cost per acquisition is the main ones that you can focus on a marketing component. Here's where the big kicker came in that I discovered is one-on-ones with the team. So I would have you at this stage, we had like 51 employees at this point. So I couldn't do one-on-ones with every single person. But while building myself up to the 51 staff, I was doing one-on-ones. And the one-on-ones, it was not more training on KPIs, hitting metrics, or any of that. It was more specifically on how I can help them hit their goals. So what's going on personally? What is their goal personally? Are they going like, and this is like completely not business related, but it affected the business really well. Are they staying on track with their goals when it comes to the gym, their education of like developing their skills? Are they happy inside the company? How can I help them be better within their business inside of my business? So like the closers earned commission on the closed deals. The setters earned commissions on their closed deals. The client success team earned commissions on retaining clients. So they have a small business inside of my business. So I was giving them direction on how they could be better personally and their own goals and if they are staying in routine. Because for me, I found that I'm constantly trying to be better for myself. So that means I'm following a routine, I'm hitting the gym, I'm studying, investing in myself. And if I can do that and push that over to my team, naturally they're going to be better because their standards will increase. So that was a really strong point. And the last one will be recruiting great people. So at this point, we were getting about 600 new applicants per month, because we had a recruiting pipeline that we had created. So that means we're spending money on ads to get people to learn about what our company is about and if they resonate with our mission, our vision, and our values. So that's 600 new applicants for all positions. That would be sales on the closing side, on the setting side, on the fulfillment side, the marketing side, editors as well. And then in addition to that, we also had client setters, which eventually that became a product that we developed, which was placing setters into the companies with our clients to help them continue to increase their revenue too. But that's recruiting great people. If you have 600 people per month of pool that wants to work at your company, you become a lot more difficult to have someone just come through without having a strong purpose to want to work here. So recruiting great people becomes a really strong attribute as well. The common pitfalls I found at the becoming a master manager is it's boring. It's not fun doing quality control and literally sitting there reviewing sales calls, reviewing onboarding calls, reviewing one-on-one calls with clients, or reading EUDs and giving proper leadership. It's boring, so it is quite tedious at first if you're not used to something like that. And it was definitely very boring for me um, because I'm more of a creative type and I like to build. But the second portion of that, because it's boring, you tend to start doing things that you're not supposed to be doing. Like marketing is working well, but you want to go and build out more marketing ads. Or sales is doing well and like you want to start, making slight changes to the script or something like that. When in reality, you just got to go back to developing your people and making the people better. That's what it comes down to. People, at the end of the day, is what makes the business a very valuable business. And then not realizing that management's a skill that you can actually develop. So just like you learn sales, just like you learn marketing, just like you learn infrastructure, AI infrastructure, that's a skill that you've developed because you spent hours of training to get better at it. Management's the same thing. Being able to manage someone is part of a skill that is developed over time. So, but at this stage, you're pretty systematized. You have a consistent and scalable leads process. So that means you're getting a consistent flow of new leads that are interested in your company, wanting to work with you as a provider. You have a predictable sales process that is not dependent on you. So that means you have closers and setters that are generating leads and closing deals without your input. You have a predictable product size service that is not dependent on you. That means you have a CSM team that is now managing the client's work with you. Now you're obviously playing the game through your team, but you have that all organized. And then you also have an upsell process that pushes people into a backend that increases the LTV of clients that want to stay with you because they like the results that you're generating. But in addition to that, you also are increasing the LTV. And this helps you outspend your competitors because clients will pay you for us. Some clients would stay with us for 3+ years. So that means 30K times three. So that's 90 grand, and they paid the upfront before as well. So some clients had an LTV of just under 100 grand for one client. That means I could spend way more than what my competitor is charging for 5K one time. So that became an LTV process that's really important. And the primary focus here is spending 99% of your time developing people. That is what it comes down to specifically. That those are the four stages of scale. We'll move into the exit side because exit in itself is there's 7 phases in just exit that I found when I was going through my exit and my process. So for me, I didn't have a ton. So now when I closed and exited, I didn't have a ton of SaaS or AI to it. So my multiple wasn't the highest, like you guys would have a higher multiple. I had some. I was sitting at this capacity over here. But for you to sell a business, you usually need at least a minimum, especially when I was chatting with my broker, about 500,000 a year profit minimum. That's like your entry to be able to actually sell a business. So you need to have a minimum of 500,000 a year in profit. And if you are not so this will be, I'm just going to give you like a awareness. It'll be about a 2x multiple if it's just service, not including any AI, not including any SaaS, none of that. With AI and SaaS, at that small of a company, like 500,000 to about 1 million profit, you could be between 8 to 15x multiple. Okay. So this will be um, like where your capacity, where you want to start using some SaaS and AI attribution to it so you have higher multiples. And if you have an AI service slash consulting, you'll be higher than just a service without AI, but that'll be between 3 to 6x. So if you don't have as strong of an infrastructure on AI or software. So key success metrics that you want for higher multiples, okay, specifically if you have a SaaS or an AI, is churn. Like this is the number one most important thing for your business is you want to have a below 3% churn. Okay. If you're sitting at a 3 to 5% churn, that means you need some attention to it. And if you're at a 5 plus, it kills your LTV, it kills the growth. You have to market way harder to retain clients. And this becomes actually not that exciting to sell if it's above a 5% churn, okay, on an AI and SaaS component. Now, the reason churn and exits and things all work is because the whole goal for someone to buy a company is they want to maintain what you've built and then now grow it further. So that means there's risk to buying the company. So most exits, the reason there's higher multiples with the company is because of key man risk. So you want to lower key man risk. So the higher the profit it is annually, that means there's usually more people that's working and rowing the boat to grow the profit. The lower the churn means the higher the probability that new clients came in, they stick. And then the sales velocity the company has. So how fast they're actually selling new clients into the company. That is how you reduce the risk and increase multiple into the business. The reason why SaaS and AI has such high multiples is because when this is done properly, that means people come in, the product is sticky, so they stay, so they can just keep selling and more people in, and people just keep staying. That's why it's such a high multiple. But that means you need to create that as a business that people don't leave. That's why the churn needs to be below 3%. Okay, let's go into the 7 stages of exit. So once we have now grown and we've set a system where we're generating consistent leads, we're closing leads on a consistent basis, we're fulfilling on clients, we're retaining clients, it's a business that is a pretty business that's someone would want to buy. Okay, so stage one is the prep for exit. So that means we have clean financials. Okay, 3 years minimum is what you need. So for me, it took me 3 years, 9 months. That means I had 3 solid years where they can backtrack my data, the growth of the company, and I had year-over-year growth, which is actually really compelling for business owners or private equity and family offices to buy. Now you need 3 years. That means you have a P&L, balance sheets, your tax returns are all organized. Okay, so the more clean your books are, that means you starting today, you have a very clean QuickBooks, you do your reconciliation, you have an accountant on it that does your QuickBooks every single month and you backtrack it or you do it or something. But clean financials, number one, bar none. Two is normalize the EBITDA. So the cool part about business, especially as you drive a lot of profit, is you can push things through the business like cars, travel, events that normally wouldn't be part of the business expense. So you actually add that back into the EBITDA. So for example, my profits that I will pull out of the company or my travels or events that I would go to theoretically is not required for the business to continue to grow. So that gets added back into your EBITDA. So that actually increases your profit when an investor looks at it. And that increases your multiple because your multiple is based on the profit or your EBITDA that you have. So that's really nice that your broker would do when you want to sell. You want to organize SOPs on top of this. So what does the actual operations looks like? So there is the fulfillment process. So the client journey I talked about, the operations, which would be the hiring and the recruiting process, and then the training and onboard process in each department. So that means like closers have an onboarding process and a training that they can watch and systematize their onboard. There's the setter process systematized onboard, the client success systematized onboard, and then your tech stack. So all the software that you pay for and what they each do, plus organized as well, and then your org chart as well. So you want to be able to showcase your entire team on an org chart. The CEO, the GM, the client success lead, the client success advisors, the client marketing lead, the closer, the sales management, the marketing director, the creative media buyers, the editors, etc. That all becomes inside of your org chart that you build out. Clarify any IPs and ownership you have. Make sure employees have contracts and software licenses that you have as well. And then preferably you try to remove founder dependency. So ideally, if you're running a lot of ads, for example, we started hiring UCG creators. So people that were not our face that could push the message out and that reduced our dependency of the founder running the marketing ads. So that way, when we are out and we're no longer creating marketing, the UGG creator can still create the marketing on our behalf, and her face is still converting the marketing that we're driving forward. So that's phase one. We're literally just prepping for exit. That makes your business turnkey, attractive, and we're de-risking it for a buyer. That's phase one. Okay. Phase two is marketing the business. So this is where now you have a broker. So the broker creates marketing materials and they reach out to potential buyers. The broker usually will create a CIM, which is a confidential info memo. It's basically like a sales deck of your business. And they will also build out like a data room, which is kind of like a Dropbox where all your documents, like all your P&Ls, all your tax returns, your SOPs, everything that I just shared in phase one is sitting inside of this Dropbox where they can now send that information to new strategic buyers, PE firms, family offices after they've signed an NDA to be able to chat with the broker and us. Okay. So that's two. We're now marketing the business. Then we move into phase three, which is qualifying buyers to the business. So this is where now the well, they're either qualifying us and we're qualifying them. When we launched, we had about 21 people that were interested in our business within the very first 7 days. Again, reason being is because we had a very strong financial sheet and we were really organized and we had everything already ready to go. So our broker was able to make a really good CIM. But then there's these things called LOIs. Okay. So the LOIs are letters of interest. So this is where the letter of interest is sent out to you, and they are sending you the purchase agreement. If there's a cash, if there's an earnout, an equity roll up, the structure, it's an asset sale. For us, it was an asset sale, but sometimes if it's a much bigger company, it would be like a stock sale. Timeline of due diligence is like a 30 to 60-day due diligence period. And then exclusive period, the buyer, once they sign the LOI and you also have signed the LOI, they have exclusivity for a certain period to do more due diligence on the process. So that means you can no longer chat with any other LOI buyers. And then they're also showcasing conditions. What's the financing and what are the terms that they want? And then you kind of agree to like a blanket kind of terms prior to the purchase agreement, so they can do due diligence. That's now where they move into a phase four, which is due diligence. This is where like the largest part is. So when I was here, I spoke to it was like 11 people. So we had 21 interest. The broker spoke to all 21. And then from there, he qualified to about 11 that wanted to talk to me. And it's really your job to sell the business as well. So now you have to sell why it's a good business. Why is the market still growing? Like your team is solid, how many hours you're dedicating into the business. So that way the buyer One gets clarity, but two, it makes them excited to buy. So this is why knowing sales helps you to sell your business as well. But in this phase, we're now in due diligence. So once you've signed the LOI, I spoke to 11. From there, I got six LOIs that were interested. So they all sent, and I chose which LOI I liked the most based on who I liked, that I thought would be a good person to pass the baton on to continue to run the business forward. So from there, they're doing their due diligence. That means they're doing financial. Well, they're really just trying to see what you claimed is real and there's no red flags. So now they hire attorneys and they also hire accountants to go through your QuickBooks, to audit your books, and then to just make sure everything is looks good. So they're investing in of their own money prior to buying the company to make sure it's a good deal. So that's why it's important to have all these organized prior. But they're doing financials. That means there's revenue, profit evaluation, tax compliance, tech IP. They're making sure that the tech is organized. And this is where now the buyer is asking you a ton of questions about the business, about each staff member, asking about the marketing process, your entire funnel. You basically have to explain everything about the business. It almost feels like they're gonna go out and build your, they're just like trying to milk you for information for them to go out and build their own business, but it's not. They're just trying to really get an awareness of if it's a business they would want to pursue. Then there's legal. So they ask for all the contracts. This is what we had to build a process for this question. So we had to create aging reports that we didn't do because again, we're a fairly young business. So we're still developing the corporate structure that they needed, but we had to build out aging reports. We had to get all of the contracts that we had from our clients and send it to them so they can confirm how many contracts we had on long-term contracts, on 90-day contracts, employee contracts as well to confirm that there wasn't any like risk of employees quitting and creating competing business, things like that. What was our turn? What was our highest paying clients, team roles, salaries, liabilities, and then they were asking us growth and risk factors. So what was the risk? Why are we selling? Like things like that. And that was the whole due diligence process. This process takes the longest. So from phase, I'd say 2 to 4 is the largest process because we went through one LOI and then we dropped an LOI and then we actually got our second LOI. And then she's the one that went fully through to purchase. But that process takes a while because they're doing due diligence and they just want to make sure it's a proper purchase. Then we go into the purchase agreement. This is where it gets a little more kind of nuanced because you're now negotiating with attorney. So now you have your attorney reading over the purchase agreement that their attorney typed out, and their attorney is trying to protect them, and your attorney is trying to protect you. So in this process, the big thing, like we didn't have any final pricing or adjustments. It was like the price that we had in LOI was the price that we had in the purchase agreement, which was nice. So there wasn't like after due diligence, they didn't want to like lowball us or any of that. It was still the same price, which was good. But whereas there was this reps and warranty. So this is where um, there's just risk to like fraud and like things like that. So they will create reps and warranty. This is for you as a seller is the most important thing to realize and look at because anything here that's written, you're liable for. So if they say something like, your financials are 100% perfect and they go and find the financials are not perfect or something like that, then you could be, you know, in breach of agreement. So your attorney is constantly looking to lower the reps and warranty, and their attorney is constantly trying to increase the reps and warranty. So this is just like a constant kind of game where this is where deals usually fall through. It's just in the purchase agreement at the end of the day. So you take a little here and you give a little there. So for us, we gave on the non-compete like we have a 5-year non-compete. just because we wanted less reps and warranty. So then we gave more non-compete and like things like that to have less reps and warranty, and that was what our attorney recommended. Then there's identifications and escrow terms as well. So identifications and it again, at the end of the day, this is just your attorney and their attorney trying to protect the buyer and the seller. This is where it takes a lot of time, and you want to read the agreement a lot. I like know the agreement by back of my hand now because I read it so many times with my attorney. But this is where you're now like in the nitty gritty, ready to move forward. Like this, after this is signed, it's 100% locked and loaded as long as they get funding, which usually they do. And then we move into the escrow and closing. So in escrow and closing, you now have an escrow and closing agent, which is um, a third party that receives the funds that the seller puts in, and then the escrow then sends those funds to you. And they're just making sure that the everything is organized and it's pretty and there's true transfer ownership with assets IP. They confirm the receipt, money is actually released, and then if there's any earnouts and things like that, we had a 90% cash payout, and then we had a 10% earnout to help them on the transition. So in that process, there was a post-sale transaction or transition process as well. I would recommend if you're trying to sell to be a little more on the willingness to help on the transition because it'll naturally make the buyer more comfortable that you're there to give guidance. We had a 90-day like support process with them so they could ask us any questions, jump on calls, do Zoom calls, and give guidance and retain key players in the company for 90 days after that they like we received funds and gave them support. And then after that, it was just tech support after the 90 days as well. That makes it very pretty for a buyer that you're there willing to help them in that transition to get back up to speed with you transitioning out. But that was the escrow. Money gets hit and it's locked and loaded from there. In this, like I said, this is where you help with the relationships and hitting metrics. So we have two metrics that we're hitting. One is a 6-month metric and the other is a 12-month metric. Um, and then after that, it's fully done. But we got 90% of the payout up front, which is usually not likely. Usually people get a lot more like seller finance stuff. So I think the more you prepare and you in phase one to make it look like a very successful operated business, the more upfront cash you get and the less risk it is to actually buy. And that means you don't get like a seller finance deal where they put like 20% down and that's how much you get upfront. Um, there's more in terms of recommended hiring, but I could pause here because I have like a lot more that I can go through, but I don't know how much time you guys have and if you guys have any questions specifically on this or um, I can open for you guys.
That was amazing. Thank you, Renato. Just
Yeah.
information, guys. You see this book? It took me 17 hours each way when I was going to Florida from Sydney and back to finish this book. So basically,
Mhm.
everything that he just teaches you God is it was in this book. So it took me like 2 days to finish it, and you guys have
Yeah.
it in 45 minutes. That was amazing. Like everything I read in this book, no, I can relate. So you kind of like went deep dive, and so there was a lot of value on today's session, guys. Like it's very, very important. Like especially like when he went through that stages about like how
Mhm.
to prepare it. And now you're understanding when you go to the selling point, what the investor is going to look at. And that's something that a lot of us don't think about it at this stage. And like a lot of us start a business, everything is a mess. There's no SOP, there's no processes. Like one thing was quite interesting that you just mentioned, Renato, that I didn't know myself, was the employee's contract. That's
Mhm.
something I started thinking about. I'm like, so that's super important that if you don't have non-compete, if your employee's contract, then it might affect your valuation a lot because they're gonna say, oh, the employee might become a competitor. And especially working with Americans based in California, that we just found out from our solicitor that you cannot enforce a non-solicit, and
Hmm.
that's something that's not enforceable. So how do you deal with that, Renato? Like any employees based in California, then you can't
Yeah.
enforce it. Like, is it going to affect the valuation if you have like, let's say, suddenly 10 core employees that based in California?
No, so the contracts are that's a good question actually, because the non-compete in California that's a real thing. Like you can't really enforce a non-compete on it in California. However, the contract is mostly in terms not so much on the non-compete, but expectations and like termination process and like protection on you if they leave or if you let them go. Because you can't enforce non-compete in California. So it's not going to lower the evaluation. Like buyers are aware of that. It's more in terms of what is the risk if you let them go based on the agreement. If it's like not a viable, transition if they want to like sue, like things like that in terms of the agreement. You want to just, it's better to have agreements where there's set expectations, set processes, and the employee knows what they're supposed to do, the employer knows what the employee is supposed to do, opposed to not having one at all.
Okay. Well, that's
Yeah.
good to know. The other one is the contracts with the clients. So for
Hmm.
us, like one of the method, and all for our clients too, our mastermind clients, a lot of them have a school communities. So with a
Yeah.
school community that basically there's no contract. So the people go to the paid school group, it says how much is the price, and then they click on purchase, and it says that by purchasing this program, you agree into the seller's terms and conditions, school terms and conditions. They just check the checkbox. Then that's it. Then they are in. There's absolutely no contract that you send to the client, no matter how high ticket you are. So from the investor's point of view, while we reach out even to the school and we told them like, do we need to still do the contract? So you don't need to have a contract because that's basically your contract. But now I started thinking about it that you brought it up. So, and the same with everyone here that sell through the school. Like, is it going to be a red flag for the investors to say, you're selling through the school, which is a third party? All the contracts is there's no contract, no one signed anything, they just check the checkbox. Is it going to be a risk? Is that something
Hmm.
maybe we need to, me and other clients in this mastermind, they need to reconsider the business model of not selling through the school and then send the contract through the DocuSign or
I
GHL
think
to get them to sign?
I think the medium of how you process payment is fine and you're accepting the terms and of services cool. But on like the onboarding call or on you just have another set one that you own on the contract side. So like through from a Panda doc or like a DocuSign
That
for
means
service.
they still have to sign something.
Hmm. That I would recommend it because because you can't provide contracts like if people have long term. For us, what made us a sellable business was the 12-month annual contracts. That's what made it a sellable business. So um, even our 90-day contracts as well was also made it pretty sellable because everything was contracts. So we could send people to collections if we needed to. We could enforce it, sell the debt eventually, or we never did that, but I'm sure the PE company would probably do that. So it creates a level of protection on what you sold on the revenue. So you earn the revenue instead of you develop collections.
That makes sense. So in general, like running a business in someone else's platform, like a school, is it is it a red flag for the investors? They're gonna say, what about if a school like gets shut down? Like, is your business gonna shut down? Because that's one of the things I started developing concern that our entire business is on a school. Do we need
Hmm.
to think about like maybe moving it out of the school or at least not charge through the school, have the
Uh,
contract separate, or what is the best? And that applies to everyone here too, because like majority of our mastermind members, they're doing the same thing. So I think that
yeah.
kind of get value out of this question.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I had Skool. So Skool is still like how I moved my material and my training material. It was just a smaller fee. It was just a smaller fee. I would process outside of Skool. have like the community price of just staying in the community, for example. But I would be processing through Maverick, or Fanbase or WAP or Stripe, are like the main PayPal as well, the main five, and then have contracts outside, as that I would have my own personalized contracts through PandaDoc. I like PandaDoc a lot because it also showcases um, that they signed with their address and their IP. So if they ever want to dispute or something like that, it's harder to, especially if you provide service, you document the service, the client journey that we talked about up here. When you generate the client journey, you document the client journey through Zoom calls, through Slack messages or Skool messages or Skool posts, or if you're using other platforms, you're documenting it that you're actually engaging with the client. So it reduces dispute rates too.
Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. So you can I guess you can stop the sharing the screen.
Yeah. Sure.
Go back to a bit of Q&A.
Yeah.
Just guys, like put in a chat from 1 to 10, how much value did you get out of this 45 minutes presentation, almost an hour? From 1, I didn't get any value. 10, I got so much value. I learned a lot and I know how to structure my business. Just put in a chat from 1 to 10. 11,
Yeah.
Mark, 11,
Love
Jenny, 10. Yes, just everyone else. I'm just gonna put 100 myself. I've learned a lot. Peter,
love that.
11. Tammy, 1 plus 9. Fantastic.
I love that. Amazing. Good
Yeah,
stuff. You
that was.
guys, I'm open for more questions. I know you asked some questions, Anita, but if anyone
Yeah.
has any questions, I'm more than happy to answer
Yeah,
as
just
well.
raise your hand, guys. If you have any question, you can either put in the chat or just raise your hand and we unmute you. Peter, do you
Yeah.
have a question?
I do, yeah. Hey, thank you for that. It's great. A lot of what you said reminded me of a book that I just finished, not your book, but a different one is Buy Back Your Time. Have you heard about that? We're putting systems
I have
in
heard
place.
about. Yeah.
Um,
It's a great
and
book.
I had the
Yeah.
same impression when I read the book as I listened to you, that that's way ahead of me, but it's nice to have that roadmap just in case. So you're thinking that direction. My
Yeah.
question is really about your niche. I mean, chose a really specific niche. Could you
Mhm.
explain about that? And when you did you really aspire to grow into such a large company? Because,
Yeah.
it's, yeah.
That great question. So when I first started, I actually was in the dental niche. So that was a niche that I chose. Prior to that, I was doing all niches. So I was like construction, landscaper, psychiatrist, like because I was just in the beginning. And then I got a dental client, and it made me realize that the dental niche had more money. They could pay for like higher pay, things like that. So then I was like, let me just go all dental. So I started running at dental. I got really good awareness on my ad spend, the cost per lead, and working in the dental clinic with the dentists and just learning that sales process and marketing process. When I picked up a beauty client, I saw that the cost per lead was like a dental lead was usually like $15 to $25 a lead from Facebook. And then when I went into beauty, I was getting leads of $3 to $9. So I instantly saw there was a big delta between like the competition in the beauty industry. So then that is what made me want to pivot into beauty, because I saw that I could get way more leads for my clients and they could spend less money on ads and I could maximize their ad spend properly. And then I did research in the beauty market. I saw that it was growing. And so then that was what made me pivot into the beauty. And I did not think it was going to grow this big. I had aspirations to get to 100K a month. That was like my big goal. Um, but I didn't know it was going to continue to grow past the 100K a month.
Follow-up question, if I may. So you mentioned something, if I got it right, that you were selling a $3,000 product and you're already at $1 million at that point,
Yeah.
right? So what was that three? And then I guess there's some upsells there. Yeah, then you moved into the 30K package. But while you're at the $3,000 product, what was that? What did that look like?
Yeah. So that was like me still in my like offer kind of mastery stage. So it was a 6 week product where I would I would sell them, then onboard them onto my system to generate marketing leads for them through Facebook ads. And then I would teach them the sales process. So they would have to respond to the leads and then close the deals that I sent over to them. And after 6 weeks, I would just continue to give them like once a week Q&A where I could give them direction on how to maintain the system. But there was no back end, there was no continuation, no service. It was just one marketing launch and a training that taught them how to use the system, how to run their own ads, and how to do their own sales and how to respond to the leads through like an SOP process.
So
Okay.
basically, you sold 333 roughly. So one is one a day. So in 1 year, you sold roughly one a day, which is like a consistent, persistent lead. And
Yeah, when I first launched, I'll walk you through I launched, it was May 19th. By May 30th, I had $9,000 in cash. And then in June, it was 33,000 in cash, and then in July it was 85,000 in cash. New cash that came in. And so all selling 3K. And then some people I would go to 30, like, and I learned it was 3K, then I brought it up to 38, then 40. Like the more results I got, the more increase of price I started adding. Because I saw how like people were churning, like they would spend the 3K and then in 3 weeks they would recoup that investment so quickly, or in 5 weeks. And I was like, we have to increase the how much I'm charging because they're getting so much value out of it.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Any more question? Any question?
Hello.
Nicole?
Hi. Sorry, I'm driving. Sorry.
Yeah,
I hope
no
I didn't
worries.
lose anything you said. But the
Yeah.
system you were selling, was it proprietary or was it the sales system or was it CRM like Go High Level?
No, so I wasn't using at the time I was just running Facebook ads to their inbox on their socials, and then they would have to respond to those leads and then turn them into a sales call, and then I would teach them how to properly close people.
Oh,
It was
okay.
just a service-based, Nicole, from my understanding, like provide
Oh,
Facebook
Hmm.
marketing to other businesses. Like that's what you guys doing in this community. So that's one
Yeah.
of the things
got
that
it.
a lot of our students, Renato, do. They learn about how to leverage AI to provide, to build funnels and to do automation with GHL and also to do ads. So
Yeah.
kind of like one thing that we teachers and use it as a kind of recommended price. They're charging like anywhere from 10 to 20K setup fee for those services, and then with a couple of $1,000 monthly management.
Yeah.
Because we use AI and our software is kind of like everything is based on the modeling. So when you launch those campaigns, highly likely you get a better results and better opt-in rates and so on. So and
Yeah.
also they get things done quicker. Like these kind of remote.
Yeah. Like if I had like I wasn't utilizing a ton of like when I launched, I just sold in March this year. So that was 3 months ago. So 4 years ago there was not much AI utilization. So yeah, if you can leverage it, I think it's a mass I think utilizing it properly is a huge opportunity to leverage what makes you different, the OSS, the unique selling system that you can build out. But the big thing I think is the offer that attaches to it. Because again, it's always about the result. AI is a medium to the result. So the result's still what they're looking for. They still want more money. They still want more revenue. And it's our job to build that value where they want to still pay you and have you as their tech solution and marketing solution.
Yeah, fantastic. Any
Yeah.
more question, guys? I have one more question that I want to make a mention. You mentioned about the boring task and boring work that everyone try to skip, like
Hmm.
reviewing the sales calls and team meetings. I can so much relate to that. Sometimes you wake up in the morning, you know that you need to get those boring tasks done, and part of you doesn't want to do it and want to skip it. And one thing I found out is skipping it, that's what's going to kill your business because you think that you can remove yourself from sales, you remove yourself from marketing, and someone else come and build a business for you. I think that's one of the, biggest problem with the entrepreneurs that are more beginner that not realizing that unfortunately they have to learn it themselves first before they delegate it. No one else can come and build you a perfect marketing system, perfect sales system when you have zero understanding of marketing and sales yourself. It doesn't exist. It's like that's a dream. I wish that was exist. That's why they have to develop those skill set yourself. Unfortunately, you have to go through that pain. Develop and
Yeah.
fix it yourself, doing a lot of sales calls yourself, absolutely master it, then put together a sales team. Just wanted to, compliment on what you mentioned. And one other thing, guys, is I don't know if you guys realize we haven't even got a chance to do announcement. We just added the sales tool to the software. So we have a lot of those boring tasks out of your shoulder now. Sales manager, we have a sales manager tool. All you guys need to do, just copy paste the transcript of your FATM recording, and then you could analyze the calls and you could provide the feedback. So if you have a sales team and you don't have time to do it, this is a very, very good tool. And the other one is that a sales call transcript SOP. So it will create the entire SOP and a script generated for you guys by getting a transcript. For example, if you guys are doing the sales call yourselves, no one wants to put together a team, you have no script, you have no SOP, right? All you need to do, put the transcript of a perfect sales call, and then it will go create a SOP and a line by line script for your closers and setters. And the other one, this is analyze the sales call, is for the fulfillment team. When you guys want to pass on the fulfillment team about what happened on that sales calls, what has been told, and the fulfillment team has understanding of each client, you could use this tool. And this is for setting up the KPI. So we keep adding to these tools. We actually have a couple of really exciting tools on in Horizon for you guys. I've been working so hard to be able to have the live role plays and also to be able to have the live sales manager. That means that when you're on the call, the live sales manager listen to your calls and give you feedback right on the call in case that you don't know how to handle objections. And the role plays is a perfect opportunity for you guys to do the practice. If you want to do role plays, you can role play with AI. So those tools are on the way. And so this is going to help with a lot of these boring tasks. And the reason I developed these because I started putting together a sales team myself and I realized the pain of boring, the pain of how much time I need to spend to do all of that. I've learned it myself, then I put together a tools in the lab so everyone else can take advantage of that. So Renato, just to give you a bit of the concept about this software created on the back of all the pains that I had in my business myself. Basically,
Mhm.
every time I go through that, this is too difficult. I cannot do it. Then I started training AI, and then we added more and more and tools, basically to kind of like, make a lot of, especially with the team expansion, is very, very difficult with the entrepreneurs and myself. So we only have like 3 employees in the company, and we already value over $20 million under 1 year. So I think like in the 6 months of the business, we did 350K MRR. That's like an
Mhm.
insane growth. And with that insane growth
Yep.
rate, without AI, it's impossible. How can you go and train a team and onboard them without using AI? Like it's
Yeah.
basically quite impossible to do that. And I guess like that's why we started developing a lot of these tools to help in my business, to help it to grow without actually employing a lot of employees and at the same time to get everyone else to take advantage of it. So yeah, more sales tools coming and we keep you updated. But definitely guys, if you haven't leveraged these sales tools yet, definitely try to leverage it.
Yeah, I like that would be awesome if I had that. Just because yeah, I was doing a lot of sale like I really was like 5, 6 hours a day just reviewing sales calls myself.
That's
And
what I
then
was doing myself. Like back to like 6 weeks ago when we had the sales team, and I'm like, Atena, you cannot do that. And you're gonna get a sales manager, they're gonna charge you 10% commission, they're gonna charge you 20K a month on the top. And I'm like,
yeah.
okay, well, I'm gonna spend a week to get obsessed with it, to develop all the tools required. Then I'm gonna use it for myself and I'm gonna give a value to my clients. So that's basically all of this tool level. I know I can see the need for role play and all of that. And now the needs is coming up. We're just developing more and more. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, definitely guys try to take advantage of these tools and to get rid of some of those boring tasks. But it still doesn't mean that you don't need to understand the sales process. It's important to learn and understand it. But that's just gonna keep, a little bit of pressure out of your shoulder. Um, these extra tools with AI and stuff.
Love
All
that.
right. Any last minute questions, guys?
Yeah. I'm all ears. Going once, going twice.
I'll have one more burning question
Thank you.
myself, Renato.
All
This
right,
one is
what's
a
up?
tricky one.
Yeah.
So with the money back guarantee, yeah. So if a business provide money back guarantee based on results, let's say for example, that's something that we're thinking ourselves to start providing because like 100% certain if someone follow the training and follow the tools, they're 100% gonna get the value and result. They're gonna make
Mhm.
money, no matter if they have marketing background or not. So with
Yeah.
that one, we're thinking to provide a money back guarantee, say in after 12 months of program, if you didn't earn at least twice, 2 to 3 times of your investment back, we give you 100% money back. If you follow the process and also
Mhm.
if you had obviously involvement. So me thinking about that, okay, I'm certain that if someone follow the process, they're gonna get a result. But in terms of the investors and someone that buy in a business, they come to a business to buy, they say, okay, you have 100 contracts here with that money back guarantee. How do I know this people's not going to be request refund? Is
So
the risk?
the here's the interesting part. So we had a money back guarantee when we were running our ads. The PE team has already like erased all those contracts, like for new people coming in. Um, so it definitely levels up. I think it's based on your sales because you want to make sure that you sell people that are going to take action and they're going to leverage the work, right? Because if you set the wrong expectations on the sales front or the marketing, they just get their money back for not doing anything. Then like in the fulfillment process, it becomes a bottleneck because they're dragging their feet in what work they're supposed to be doing. So it's a good lever to push new sales into the business. It as long as you have a strong filter on who you actually allow into the product, it wouldn't be like a terrible idea. Um, but um, companies don't really like seeing that, to be honest. Like we explained to them that same thing. They still bought it, but like within 2 months of them operating, they fixed all those contracts and made it no guarantee and no refunds, no nothing.
So you guys did that?
They did that after they bought.
Oh, the business that bought it, they changed it. They changed all the contracts. So they didn't
Yeah.
have issue with that. They didn't say, oh, it's a bit of too risk to the business. Why you have all of these result guaranteed?
If your churn starts bumping up, if you have a higher dispute rate or refund rate, you just need to have your net profit year after year needs to go up. So if let's just use easy numbers, you're at 1 million profit without the guarantee, and then now or the results oriented guarantee, and now and you had let's say 10,000 in refunds. So like at the top, it's 10,000 refunds. You had 1 million profit. That's at 1% refund rate. So then now, next year you're at 2 million profit, and but you're at 200,000 in refunds. All right. So you're at 1.8 in net profit. That went up despite having a 10% um, refund rate. Does that make sense?
What about if the business doesn't have that much age yet? Like my business, for example, is a 1 year old, right? We don't even know what's going to happen when the renewal comes. Let's say that we're going to have that as statistic. And after that, someone wants to buy the business, but they only have 1 year or 1.5 years history. What do
They
you do in
won't
that situation?
They won't buy it.
So it has to be
They
minimum 3 years.
minimum 3 years. Yeah. So and this is why it's very important when you're growing to make sure you manufacture growth year after year. Because if you have a huge growth, you make, let's say, 2 million profit in 1 year, and then the next year you're at 1,000,002, they're gonna ask you what happened. Why did it go down 800K? Opposed to, well, you still made 1.2 the next year. Does that make sense? Like they're gonna figure out like was it a marketing issue? Did it hit saturation? Did someone copy you? Like what caused the decline? That's the question. So you want to make sure that you keep maintaining growth and you don't like let off the foot of gas.
So what happened with some of the SaaS businesses that get bought out like very quickly, like YouTube, for example, they get bought out by Google 1.5 years after the launching. So in those
Yeah,
scenarios, like,
that's explosive growth. So like they had users. Um so it's I'd say it's not that it's not possible. It's 100% doable. It's just you need to have explosive growth and a buyer needs to see it as valuable. Sounds good, Mark. Like the buyer needs to be willing to buy it off of potential. Like if you the 3 years is usually what like for example Instagram. Instagram was bought pre-revenue.
mm,
So for 1 billion. But that doesn't mean that all businesses are bought
yeah. Okay, there are
pre-revenue.
exceptions to that.
Hmm.
That
Yeah.
makes sense. Sadi, I'm gonna bring you in. You have a question?
Yeah, so you mentioned that you was running your ad. Were you running the ads yourself, or did you hire like an ads manager in the beginning?
Oh, no, it was me. It was me with my business partner. So we would run it together. Yeah. And then later he kind of led into it.
Hmm. And when you
Yeah.
first started out, you say you started out with doing like a 4K budget a month.
Yeah, my first month was 4K, second month was 9K, and then third month was 15. So like I just kept gradually increasing it as I had more profit.
Okay.
Well, I really think that 4K is 3K is probably the minimum that you should spend to acquire because like you don't anything below that you don't have enough volume to test into the market. Yeah.
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 Ours
But
was similar, Sadi. Ours was similar too. Like when I started, I think the first month I did 5K. Second month I did 10K. And I was just increasing the budget as we were going. It's very similar to Renato.
Hmm. Yeah.
so if you so you were already running ads and you was kind of comfortable with that. I've been running ads, but I would say like at an intermediate stage where I would like second eyes on some of the campaigns and ideas and stuff like that. What would you suggest for like a person in my situation?
I would learn ads really well. Yeah, because I think like ads isn't that difficult to learn. Um, because even when you go and hire media buyers, which we ended up doing later, you still need to manage the media buyer. You still need to make sure the media buyer is doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're doing enough creatives, they're adding different angles, different hooks, mediums, call to actions. In addition, they're also but hitting metrics with cost per lead, cost per booked call, cost per qualified booked call, like all these things are required things that you should know. So you should be running it. Like we didn't go and hire a media buyer until we were at like 50K a month on ads.
But you and your partner, you guys used to strategize and come up with looking at the metrics and seeing like, okay, we need to swap this ad out and making like the adjustments as far as that, right?
Yeah, so you want to listen to what the market says. So, like when you're on sales calls, you'll hear what are the objections and the concerns that comes up on the sales, and you want to then try to get ahead of that on the marketing. So either that's on the direct response on the marketing, or that's on a kind of hammer them approach before the call to provide more context in how you support someone. So if someone is giving you objections about, let's say, um, like will this work for me, like how do I know this is going to work for me, or like will this work, like etc. Like let's just use those as examples. You're running ads to get people in the door from when they book a call to the duration in that window, the 2 day window before they book a call and you actually chat with them, sending them ads about case studies that has worked before, someone that resonates with her that was in her business, like personalizing her ability to see that it's going to work for her is going to be increased show up rate, increased close rate.
So just to support what Renato mentioned, so this is a marketing. Everything you guys see here, this is handling the objections. So the biggest objection that come to us for our service is that I have no team, I have no tech background. So that's why we put it here. And this hook that created here is created by lab. So if you guys go to the lab, there is a tool that called hook for any copy, right? So this tool, it will write you the headline and subheadline exactly like this. How to achieve something without handling an objection. So that's basically how the marketing can support it. And Sadie, you already knew, you joined a couple of days ago. That's why the AIpreneurs Mastermind is for. We teach you guys about to be a master of the Facebook advertising. If you guys go to the set up and launch your Facebook ad, there's a full training on that. And we have one of the best media buyers in the world. So these guys is spent I think like over 500 million on the Facebook ads as your ads. So he's our media buyer that available to you guys for 52 weeks, right? So that's why you guys go do the training, learn about that, and come to the school for the strategy. He's gonna be the person you brainstorm the strategy with. You brainstorm with him about the audience, about my ROI, my click-through rate, what do I need to change? And it's available every single week to you guys. So that's how you become a master of the Facebook after a couple of months. Training with the hand holding and support, then you can absolutely master it. And you don't need to have a media buyer unless that you're gonna have like run really, really big ads and stuff. And at that point you get it.
Yeah.
But that's why the program is designed for you guys to become a master of Facebook advertising paid ads, because so much believe that the best way to be able to scale a business consistent, persistent lead is by Facebook ads, paid ads.
Yeah.
This is what we believe. Renato, you know that we all are on this kind of like the same cycle of the group, and we know that all the people that make so much money, 7-figure a month, there are two ways. Either they run ads or they have a big YouTube. There's like one on another, right? That's a reality. So if you don't have a big YouTube, then you run ads. So that's basically what it is. So you guys get that opportunity and training in here. So I thought I would just clarify because Sadie is new. She joined the program like 2-3 days ago.
Yeah, no.
You're
Yeah.
in a good hands, Sadie. We'll help you to master that. And a lot of our members, like if you look at our community wins, they run the ads and the first week, they all of a sudden they get so much lead that they can not even handle because they've done the training, they came to the Azrael gave them the strategy. And then from then every week they come to the call and then Azrael review it again. Our ROI, what do you need to improve? What is the leak? Identifying the lead. And you guys come to the call with myself to help you with the funnel and the strategy of the marketing. And obviously we're using the software and tools to execute everything so quickly.
Thank you so much.
Fantastic. No problem at all. And if you have time for one more question, I'm gonna bring Chris here.
Yeah,
Chris,
sure. Absolutely.
Yes. Hello. Sorry, I just ate a late lunch, so it took me a while to come on video. But Renato, this is great. It's actually a question for both you and Atena. So like you guys are, you've already been running this race for a while. Kind of where do you spend your time? What's the next challenge for you? I'm interested to hear from both of you.
Renato, you
Uh,
have that?
Yeah, well, so I mean right now I'm focusing on building out my holding company. So I'm investing into companies that I believe in, that I see it can grow. Um but I have a lot more free time since I exited the company. I'd say like when I was in like at the level of master manager level, I was focusing on making sure that the marketing was like we're building up the brand of the bit because like now it becomes like a leverage thing or if I can build more content that can build the brand, it's gonna help lower lead costs, help build awareness of like before the call, like create sales assets that can help the closers close better and marketing assets that can help increase show up rates. That's what I would be focusing my time. But now it's the holding company. So I'm just deal sourcing. I consult, partner, and invest into companies that I feel like I can help. So,
That's great.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
So for
yeah.
me is I have no free time. I'm very, very busy and all I do is just work, to be honest. No work life balance for me at this stage. But what we looking at ourselves in the market is that we position ourselves as like a GHL for AI. So instead of trying to use 100 different AI tools for different purposes, you can have all-in-one solution that can comprehensive solution for marketing and sales. So if you need help in marketing sales, you go to AIpreneurs Business Lab, one solution for all, exceptional beginner friendly, no tech background required. A VA can do that for you. This is how we position ourselves in the market for $1 billion exit. So that's why this session is very important for me. And I need to have more chat with you, Renato, about that because obviously we have big goals. So we had a VC that valued our business $20 million. And that was just like right after a year that the business done. But that was based on like assumptions. In the assumption that this is going to be your churn, this is going to be that, that's roughly how much the value is. There wasn't like a serious buyer that put the money on the table. It was just like a talking to a VC and going through my numbers and do that. And the other thing is that we position ourselves as a unique selling proposition in the market is we're not just a SaaS company. We have everything in one place. We have a community, we have the education mastermind, and we also have a SaaS. So all the three in one place, which I was getting one-on-one coaching from Alex Hormozy, he did mention up until now, he does not know any company that has all the three in one place. He doesn't know any. You are the SaaS or your education come together, especially with the biggest community in the school. No one else does that. So it putting us a very, very strong position that we are strong. We're not just a SaaS, we are education. We're helping the people to use the tools, but we also hold their hands to help them to grow the businesses to $1 million businesses. So this is basically what we position ourselves on. Obviously, my time is all spent on growing this business and getting close to the stage 4. Renato, we are very, very close to hit the stage 4. I would say we are sitting around stage 3.5, put together a sales team and try to gradually try to remove myself as much as possible, especially with the AI tools that we developing every day, and getting to that point of like getting the A players and getting to the stage 4. So I think like we are in that transition now. I don't know how long it's going to take to absolutely master the stage 4 that we explained. But that's basically the stage of the business that we are at the moment.
Gotcha. Yeah, I would look into the recruiting process, like continue to find a talent because you don't have a ton of staff. So like finding
That's fair.
solid staff, and it's you could pay a lot you're and that's what A players want at the end of the day. They want upside potential of what the growth is going to be.
Yeah.
And but yeah, it kind of gives me a ClickFunnels kind of vibe a little bit because ClickFunnels has a community plus a education plus the SaaS attachment to it, and they scaled hard. So yeah, I like it.
Just say
I
the
actually
community, I think like it's not like a school community or something, it's just like
it's a Facebook
Facebook,
community.
yeah. I think that's what the Alex was meant, like a community in the school, which is number we became number 1 community in November in the school. So we became quite huge very quickly. But yeah, that's similar to that, creating a movement, giving an identity to people that I'm a entrepreneur. This is how they feel about themselves, and we kind of like a modeling Russells to some extent.
Yeah,
And I'm a
I
fan of
see that.
big fan of the Russell Brunson. Like we
Yeah,
have like the our own manifesto that we created about what is our messaging, what is our we created a bit of culture between like a community and apart from the business and AI shift of identity and culture that we added here. Um,
yeah,
but
I
yeah,
love that.
it's interesting. I love the game. I work so hard, but I just love it so much. It's
No, like right now I'm in that transition where I'm like but I was like that. I was work like I recommend it. Anyone that's trying to grow, you're gonna do 12, 16-hour days. It's just what you're gonna do. Um it's just part of the game. And it's fun. And you should enjoy the journey and the process of it. I miss it. Like I want to get back into it, which is why immediately I built a holding company so I could go and do it again. So, but yeah, now I'm just a lot more cautious of what offer I go into and what business I want to kind of really dedicate time to because it does pull all your time and attention. So it's got to be something that's worthwhile.
yeah, no, fantastic. Chris mentioned Atena Russell Brunson on a story. You heard it.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. We actually My Two Comma Club board that you see on the background, it's a $1 million funnel, webinar funnel that we model after Russell Brunson using our software. And
Nice.
when I met up with him in February in the Funnel Hacking Live, I told him the story and I showed him the conversion rate. That opt-in rate that we got on the cold audience, he couldn't believe that it was 94% opt-in rate on that funnel on the cold audience. It was like you outbid me, like, and that's just a proof that how is the AI could come affected to see use the AI to build a funnel rather than trying to reinvent the wheel and just to build a funnel for the sake of building a funnel and making yes and using ChatGPT to write your headline, subheadline, and all the copy. So we basically model it in one click, the Russell Brunson's funnel, and but yeah, I love Russell so much. I've learned a lot from him, and I can see that you do too with all the awards on the
Um,
background.
yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm excited. I'm excited to see like where you like it. You got a cool thing. I saw just a little bit of it. So yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So $1 billion, is it possible?
Is it possible? Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. You just gotta keep building. Like I said, I think your horizon, you need to have those 3 year, like you gotta see like the uptick. And like if you get year after year, like if you get 50% year over year growth, that increases your multiple a lot too. So like let's say, like I said, you did 2 million and then you did 4 million, then you did 8 million, that becomes like very like increased on the multiple side too.
So what is like a highest multiple you ever seen? Like absolute highest.
Well, they're like publicly traded companies like Palantir is at like 451 multiple right now.
40 to 50. Wow, that's insane.
No, no, 451, 451. But that's Palantir.
451 multiples?
That's
Oh my,
Palantir.
oh my gosh. That's
Yeah,
insane.
but that's like very that's like I look at that and I'm like that's overvalued. Uh
Overvalued. Wow.
but yeah.
I was hanging out with Ty Lopez a couple of weeks ago and he said that he's seen AI businesses for 48 multiples. The one that
Yeah.
I've seen. And I'm like,
Yeah, I mean
eight.
I
So
mean if
for me
we
to value a
if
billion dollar, I did the math. Actually, I could be there by next year.
No, 100%. I mean, like if you look at like companies like Facebook, that's like a 32 multiple. You look at Google, here, let's look at like Nvidia is at a 49.7 multiple. Google is at a 19 multiple. So yeah, AI companies could
Yeah,
definitely
I
get
was at Salesforce back in the heyday, and it was like 130, and it
Oh,
was outrageous. Everyone was like, "That's unheard of." So Palantir being in the 400s is
oh,
crazy.
wow.
Yeah.
it's
830
ridiculous.
multiples. That's ridiculous. Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. So it's just like the everyone on this call, if you all of you are in AI businesses, like to somehow most of you providing AI services, but even with the service-based businesses, right? It's just like you sitting on a gold mine, absolute
Yep.
gold mine to take advantage of this opportunity and think about the exit because you might make $1 million, but that your business value $20 million. Do you know what that means to your family and to your lifestyle for the rest of your life? You could retire after a couple of years, right? So that's what you think about, like, all the effort worth it. You just need to absolutely learn it and execute it and believe it's possible and believe that it will worth all the effort.
I agree. I agree 100%.
That's
Amazing.
amazing. Thank you so much, everyone. And thank you, Renato, again for your time. That was a very amazing session. And we're going to pop the recording in the group. A lot of people catch up with the recording later. So there's going to be a couple of dozen more people going to watch this recording. And also we put it in the YouTube as well. So thanks again for your
Okay.
time. We really, really appreciate it. And let's touch base, me and you. I think we have a few things to
Yeah.
talk
No,
about.
100%. Tag my my Instagram. I'm happy to answer any questions that people might have too.
Oh, I forgot to say, guys, by the way, make sure you follow hang on, sorry. Follow Renato in Instagram. I just popped the link to his Instagram. Make sure you follow him. And if you talk, guys, took any screenshot of today, make sure you put a screenshot in the story, tag him, and we really, really value your time. Really appreciate
Yeah,
it.
absolutely. Absolutely. I'm starting to build out the YouTube. It's very minimal, but I'm gonna start creating content on YouTube. So that's my
Okay.
Instagram and YouTube now that I have a little more time.
May need to
So
check out our software because we have a lot of tools for the content creation. You
yeah,
could
no,
literally
I'll definitely look into it. Well,
model after anything with the content. Like you could get the script, model it, or you could just write the post like a YouTube script and hook the same as the Mr. Business style, personalized for your business. We got a lot
uh-huh.
of that and make it a lot easier if you're gonna get into YouTube.
I like that. No, we'll definitely chat. We'll definitely chat about it.
No worries. Thank you again, everyone, and we'll see you soon.